at some point, you have to say there is no other way that the Democratic Party is ever going to learn. You are in an abusive relationship. They are using Donald Trump as your serial abuser. And in conjunction with that, you have your minor abuser who's still abusing the hell out of you, and that's the Democratic Party. And they are drawing that line. They love having somebody like Donald Trump. For them, it's the greatest thing that could happen to them.
It won't work again, though, by the way.
But it's not going to work because you're not being offered anything. And if you look at what is going to happen right now to people in the Carolinas, in West Virginia, in Kentucky, what is going to happen with this massive Mountain Valley pipeline and the people's lives who will be ruined as a result of this happening is just one example. Take the people who live in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and this is a very blue city with a majority black population, and the environmental borderline genocide that is taking place there right now. And no one's talking about it. No one. Why would they?
Not the Democrats.
Not at all.
Not anybody.
How could they?
Because they're all still on the fossil fuel payroll.
100%.
That's why.
Now, as far as the Democratic primary is concerned, I would suggest to everybody that if you are so inclined, that is where you would at least get involved, because the best case scenario that the Democrats could hope for right now, if they cared, which they don't.
No, that's
just giving out free advice.
They don't want a primary.
If RFK keeps creeping up in the polls, I'm not even addressing Marianne, but if RFK keeps creeping up in the polls, and it's very likely that he will, and quite frankly, if Marianne knew how to strategize in terms of being the most effective at this point, she would drop out and endorse RFK. If his numbers shot up over 30 points, because keep in mind, Biden's poll numbers just dipped below 60% for the first time. That is a lame duck president if there ever was one.
When's her book coming out? She'll drop out once
Probably
her book.
that.
She'll drop out when her book launches, and it'll be like, oh yes, this was all just to stay relevant for my book.
The point being is that if it looks like it is so crystal clear that Joe is going to lose in 2024, and I am really convinced beyond any doubt at this point that he will.
He can't win again.
And this has nothing to do with him falling on the stage the other day. It's not even funny.
For me, it's more the falling on the bike. That was a way more. That was hilarious.
Yeah. The Willow Project, as Miss Anonymous points out. There's so many things that we can go over.
Oh, yeah, no, we have real legitimate
We're not even
grievances.
I'm not even addressing all of the failed policies. He is a borderline failure.
I don't know why
of
you
a
say
president.
borderline.
Well,
I don't know why you say borderline.
Okay, so he's a failure. But at a time where this nation needed a populist left president and we got status quo Joe, that was the worst possible thing that could happen.
I don't even feel like it was status quo. I feel like we went in reverse.
Think of it this way. If Bernie Sanders became president and used executive authority to get at least some of these things through, whether it was cannabis decriminalization, whether it was expanding healthcare to everybody through the
pardoning
pandemic, pardoning Julian Assange,
eliminating student debt,
doing just a handful of. Do you think Donald Trump would have a shot in hell of winning again?
No,
he wouldn't.
But that just shows you they have no interest in doing those things. That's the truth. They have no interest in doing those things. I was thinking that today, because I did hold my nose and vote for Joe. Everyone knows, very begrudgingly. So regret it. Wish I didn't. Think it was bad decision. And I will not under any circumstance do it again. And then I was thinking, well, I shouldn't say under any circumstance. And I wrote down this list in my head. I have this list of, okay, well, if he did this, but he would never do any of those things. So therefore I can say I'm not going to vote for him again. And I'm not the only one. And he barely won. So if he barely won and a bunch of people that did vote for him are not voting for him, again, math is not my strong suit, but it just doesn't seem likely that you can win when you barely won the first time. I'm just throwing that out there. And I will not vote for him again under any circumstance. Again, and I shouldn't say that. Isra,
what you also have to remember is that when it comes to the so-called centrists supporting progressives, herein lies the rub. It's a question of whether or not there is a robust movement outside of the political electoral arena that is growing leaps and bounds, that is going to attract people to want to be involved. And that, of course, is through labor. And that's the only way it happens. And that means locking arms with people politically that you don't agree with across the board. There's a reason why there is such heightened fervor right now for the social inequities in society. There's a reason why we have Pride Month, why we put such a focus on a set of circumstances. You know what you should have in this country? You know what would make the more sense when it comes to the LGBT community? Have a Pride weekend. Have a weekend specifically devoted to all of the issues, the causes, and things that they're fighting for. When you do an entire month devoted to this, what you're doing is you're proving that this is political and not about what's in their best interest or even fighting for the causes that are of most importance to them. Like universal health care. If you really gave a damn about people's ability to get the necessary medication that they need, for example, if they reach a certain age where they're at the age of consent and decide that they want to transition, that would be an example of where universal health care would matter. Or the fact that we don't have universal health care and we have a major mental health crisis in this country, and people are not able to seek the therapy that they need, mental or in some cases medical. That would be another example of the things that we should be fighting for right now. We don't have anybody who's out there doing it. But I don't
see what that has to do with having Pride Month. Like, I don't see the connection of any of that. I think
because I think that there is too much attention drawn into the social divisions of society and not the economic divisions, which is really what we're fighting.
And I think we can walk and chew gum.
I think we can too.
So I don't think it matters if we celebrate different populations, different months.
I have no problem celebrating.
Right, well, that's what I'm saying. It has nothing to do with pride. That's just what getting attention, because it's a lot safer for people to talk about as opposed to like really dealing with issues.
What do you think people on the political right and libertarian right are doing right now, all day, every day, this entire month, making videos about pride and talking nonstop about that shit?
And they'll sit there and just keep fanning their own flames. But I think that that's not, like, that to me, that's not the issue. I'm not worried about that.
Fair enough. I still believe that the economic populism that is shared by an overwhelming majority of this population, if they were to come together, there is no telling what we could accomplish.
Vampire left. The only reason I regret doing it. But you know what? I can't say that I disliked him as much as I dislike Hillary, because I don't think that that would be possible. And I did not vote for her, nor will I ever. Yeah, exactly. That's all they have. That's basically that's their fundraising shtick right there. That's why I've lost my lady rights. That's why I've lost my lady rights, because they were holding on to that for fundraising for so long, refused to do anything about it, fast track a bunch of right-wing judges. I've got a Supreme Court judge named Amy Coney Island, doesn't name the 5 freedoms of the First Amendment. And the Democrats, they allowed this. They just allowed that.
And what's going to ultimately
end up, and
what's going to end up happening as a result, because the one person who is going to talk about these issues that really matter is Dr. West. And he's going to do it in a way that Marianne could never do.
No.
He is going to be a barnstormer. He is going to be going to the schools. He is going to be going to the union halls. He's going to be going everywhere. What's going to happen, unfortunately?
I mean, he's a real intellectual person. I mean, he's an academic person.
But he's got that. He's just got it.
And it's hard to argue with someone when they're arguing from a place of love. It really does make it very interesting.
Yeah.
You know, like to get in a debate with him about something like trans people, it'd be hard to steamroll him in any way, the way he talks about people.
No,
I just don't see how you can do it.
No, he really gets it. And the problem is that the biggest impediment he's going to deal with right now is having the People's Party stuck to him. That's what's going to happen. They're going to talk nonstop about what a grift and disaster the People's Party is, and they're going to take away from his message. Corporate media will seize on this 1,000%.
They will
seize on it.
They will. Yeah. And there's a lot of baggage there with the People's Party.
And when you bring up sexual assault, oh boy, they'll have a freaking field day with that.
This is the thing. I just don't think it's a good affiliation.
You can't ignore it. You can't ignore it. And you can't be this naive. So that's what I'm concerned about.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.